In this video, we will talk about scale factor. Let's look at these two rectangles. Are they similar? Well, if we're going to determine whether or not they're similar, we have to go through the similarity test. So remember, the first criteria for similarity is that the figures must be the same shape. Are these both rectangles? Yes, they are both the same shape, so that passes that criteria. What about congruent corresponding angles? Well, this angle corresponds to this angle. They're both 90-degree angles, even though they're not marked as 90 degrees. We're just going to assume for the purposes here that they're 90. And I see that these two angles are corresponding and they are 90. These two correspond and they're 90, and then these two correspond and they're also 90. So, congruent corresponding angles, let me erase that. Yes, now we have to determine if the corresponding sides are proportional. So let's first highlight what are the corresponding sides. Well, this side corresponds to this side, and this side corresponds to this side. So in order for us to determine if they're proportional, we have to determine if we multiply by the same scale factor. So how can we get from 2 to 8? Scale factor is always what you multiply. What do we multiply 2 by to get 8? Well, we multiply 2 by 4 to get 8. Okay, well, how do we get from 6 to 24? What do we multiply by? We multiply by 4. And since we're multiplying by the same number, since our dimensions are increasing at the same rate, then our sides are proportional. So yes, the corresponding sides are proportional. They are increasing or decreasing all at the same rate. So once again, scale factor, what you multiply to the dimensions of one figure to get the dimensions of a new figure. Always, 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 scale factor is what you multiply. Let's go back here for a second. I just want to emphasize that scale factor is always what you multiply, because even though we know that to get from 8 to 2, you can divide by 4, the scale factor from big shape to small shape is not 4. It's not 4 because we divided by 4. The scale factor from the big shape to the small shape is a 4th. Because we take 8, we multiply it by 1/4 to get 2. Yes, scale factor from small to large is 4, but scale factor from large to small is 1/4 because we have to multiply. So make sure that you understand and that you've written that down, and watch that again. So let's look at these two figures. I'm going to go ahead and tell you that they are similar. Let's determine what is the scale factor. And let's go, I'm going to abbreviate scale factor as FF. Scale factor, and we're going to go from the small shape to the large shape. So in other words, from this triangle UWV to triangle XZY. What is the scale factor from small to large? Well, what do you multiply 3 by to get 12? You multiply 3 by 4. So the scale factor from small to large is 4. But let's look at it the other way. Let's look at the scale factor from the large triangle to the small triangle. So how do we get from 12 down to 3? From the large shape down to the small shape. Do not tell me divide by 4. Remember, scale factor is always what you multiply. So instead of divide by 4, we know that dividing by 4 is the same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal, or 1/2. Remember that from dividing fractions. Dividing is the same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal. So the scale factor from large to small is 1/4. Make sure in your WISC to include a very detailed description about scale factor from large to small and a specific definition of what scale factor